I might introduce you. What job title and what should I use as your job title?
It's so long.
What is
so
it?
long. My actual title at the moment is Innovation Manager.
Okay.
And then slash Customer Cup.
Okay.
But let's just, I think probably.
Innovation Manager for Aviva.
Yep. So.
Okay. So good afternoon, Richard.
Good afternoon.
It's good to have you here, and thanks for giving us a little bit of time today. Just introduce Richard, who is the Innovation Manager for the Customer Cup at Aviva, and we're going to spend a little bit of time today just talking about what the Customer Cup is, why it's important to Aviva, Richard's role within it, and some of the technical aspects of the Customer Cup this year that have been a bit different than things that you've done in the past. So maybe first of all, if you could, just describe a little bit what the Aviva Customer Cup is as a concept and how it works.
Okay, I'll do my best to describe it in a nutshell. The Customer Cup is a global company-wide tournament where we ask our people to suggest ideas which we hope will be make it better for our customers. So we've designed a tournament which they enter these ideas into, and those ideas are judged and they progress through a tournament, just like I suppose like the World Cup. Everyone understands the tournament structure, I hope. And ultimately, the best 10 ideas go to a grand final, which we're holding in Warsaw in May next year.
In Warsaw this time, okay.
That's right, yeah.
Nice. So a little bit like the World Cup going to Russia, you guys are going to Warsaw next time. So yes, exactly.
We're going to Warsaw because it's a market which that we operate in.
Good. And so it's open to all of your markets. How many is that?
14.
14 markets around the world?
Exactly, yeah. So all around the world. We don't describe ourselves as global because that's probably a bit too grand, but we are in Europe, we're in Asia, we're in Canada, so we've got a good spread across the world.
Great. And how do you find people participating in it? Do you get good engagement from everybody?
Yeah, I mean, in the past we've had about 4,700 participants across a company. Our company of about, it does fluctuate, but about 30,000 people in the company.
Pretty good.
So we've historically had a good representation, and we hope to do the same again this year.
Better, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. Upwards, yeah. Upwards. Yeah.
Why does, in your opinion, or from the company's opinion, why do you run this? What's the goals of running it?
I think we recognise that the people who deal with customers every day and the people who work with them probably have the best ideas about how we could make things better for those customers. So that's one of the reasons we like to give our people an outlet to share those ideas, see if we can actually change the way that we do things, make things better, innovate. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons. We do see actual business benefits from running the Customer Cup. We've managed to realise millions of pounds worth of benefits over the last 3 years when we've run these tournaments. So it's good for us, it's good for our people, and it's good ultimately for the customer.
Nice, and it's great that you guys are able to measure benefits. How do you actually measure this? So you know the number of people, the number of ideas. How do you actually start to think about measuring the broader benefits for running it?
Well, let me start with what we did in the past. In the past, we did look at each of the ideas or projects which were submitted, and as part of that process, we asked for business cases to be submitted. We asked for those to be ratified by our finance teams to see that things were actually happening, and that's one of the measures that we have. Is there any true financial measure of benefit? And we'll be doing something similar in later stages of this tournament this year. But I think sometimes it's not necessarily just a financial benefit that we should be interested in. It should be actually, is it genuinely something that's better for a customer? Yeah. And so there is some judgment that goes into it. We have some criteria we ask our judges to look at, but it's really matching what we're doing. Does it make customers' lives better? Does it match to our strategy and some of our theses that we have, which are all about really making sure that we understand the customer service, etc. So it's all about the customer really, but we see the knock-on effect of that both for our people and also financial benefits as well.
It is a really interesting program. Is it something that's unique to Aviva? Do you know, or is it have you seen it done elsewhere?
In terms of structuring it like a tournament, I think there's two schools of thought out there in the innovative community, where some people think that you've got to be careful about incentivising these schemes, and it should be a little bit more informal. Other people think it's fantastic, and you genuinely have to find a way of incentivising people to take the step to suggest better ways of doing things. So I think the only example that I'm aware of out there in the market is BT, and my predecessor in this role came from there, and so we genuinely knew that they were running something similar.
Sure.
But I think we've moved it on now from what it was before.
And it is a great program. You're quite new to the role. What was it that drew you to this role, and what is specifically your role as innovation manager for Customer Cup?
Well, I think it's such a grand title, but in reality, I'm gathering the fantastic ideas and thoughts from my colleagues around the company. I can't take any credit for the innovative ideas that they have. I think my role is simply to give them the opportunity to share their ideas, and obviously we've adopted your system to help us do that. It's to coordinate what they're doing, it's to coordinate the judging processes, it's to coordinate what we call the grand final, which is the event at the end of this whole programme. So my role is really to galvanise, I think, the people around the company to enter their ideas, to reassure people that no idea is a bad idea at this early stage. It's more about collaborating, sharing, seeing how their colleagues can actually help them develop those ideas.
And there's quite a lot in that, I suspect, and there's quite a lot of elements of sure, you guys have got a digital platform now, but there's a lot of offline work, I'm sure, that goes into that. What even in the early stages, and this launched maybe a few weeks ago or so as a process. Can you talk about the upfront work that goes into planning this and actually getting it? How do you incentivize people to even come to the table to participate?
Sure. Yeah. I took on the role midway through December, and it been decreed that the Customer Cup Tournament 4 was going to launch on the 14th of May. So you're absolutely right, there was a lot of work to do in advance of that. One of those was actually agreeing that we would work with yourselves and as you know, and go through the legalities of all of that. But aside from that, I had to, with one of my colleagues, had to spend a lot of time thinking about how we were actually going to promote the Customer Cup. I come from a marketing background, and so I thought that the campaign that had been run needed to be refreshed. We needed to take a new approach so that the Customer Cup stood out once again in colleagues' minds as something to get engaged with. So we developed a new promotional campaign which had to work across all of the globe, so we had to spend a bit of time understanding if the language was right and the concept was right, get agreement to those concepts. So we've settled on a simple idea which I think works very well, which is throw it out there, which uses a paper aeroplane as a key identifying idea, and really we're suggesting to people that now the Customer Cup is a bit different. It is literally throw your idea out there and see how far it can go, and the paper aeroplane allows that sort of journey aspect to be demonstrated through all the promotional material. And then there's a huge amount of time spent in any marketing campaign just developing the look and feel of it,
of course,
the words, and actually getting that into the marketplace, or in our case around the different company offices and places where we work, so that people are aware of the Customer Cup to start with, and ultimately start to understand what they can do and how they do it. So that's been the programme up to launch, and now it's just trying to get as many people as we possibly can involved, understanding what they can do, and finding different ways to promote the Customer Cup now.
And what does that look like from an offline perspective? Is it road shows? Is it lots of marketing communication materials internally? What does it look like?
It started with what you might call some traditional material, that brochures, posters, emails, all of any channel I can find to promote the Customer Cup in, I'm doing so. So we are on and offline in terms of our communication channels. I'm going to embark on a series of roadshows around the different markets very shortly, which is filling me with both great anticipation and a degree of fear, because going into foreign marketplaces could be quite challenging. So we're just working. I'm working my head around exactly how it'll work, and we know what a roadshow will look like, but will it work in each market? And that's what we've just got to make sure is right. And we've got just ongoing communications, as you suggest, and going out. And one of the latest things that we've just been trying is running innovation workshops, where we've just tested some locally, and that's just about getting people out of offices, getting them to think about the customer, getting them to think about what it is that we as a company are standing for, thinking about our product sets, thinking about what drives people, and coming up with new ideas for how we could make it better for customers. And they've gone surprisingly well. And we've got, in the space of an afternoon, with a group of no more than about 20-30 people, drove out about 30 brand new Customer Cup ready ideas.
Brilliant.
So,
yeah.
It's just taking people out of the workplace, giving them that space just to think for a moment, taking away all of the stresses that they have for that brief period of time, and giving them a chance to have a different perspective. And everyone's got the ability, I think, to
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think it's really interesting. We spend a lot of time here talking about what can technology give you that you can't do in these great interactive workshops, where you can come up with, you can really build ideas quickly and you can bring them together. You guys have run this in the past as a global thing, but without a technology platform. And part of it, I suspect, was wanting to do things a little bit differently this year. But what is the hope of having a technology enabler around all of this, in terms of why you did it and the benefits you want to get from it?
Yeah. There's a number of elements, a number of reasons why we went down this route. I think the first was the reality was that the amount of resource that the company was going to allocate to the Customer Cup was being reduced a little bit. The whole company went through a bit of a restructuring process last year, and we reduced some of the numbers around our company to make ourselves leaner and fit for purpose.
How big is the team? Is it
it's
one
me.
very capable pair of hands?
It's me, but I do draw on capability around the business. So when it came to marketing, although I've got that experience myself, I did get some help from another colleague on that. I do have contacts around the internal communications team who are working in different markets, so I'm getting supported in that way. But there was one driver in the background. There was kind of a resource. What can one person truly do to manage this, and can we make it slicker? Because one of the reflections that we'd made on the past tournament was it was incredibly labour intensive. It's okay to promote and ask people to submit ideas, but that was done on a very manual basis, and the material that was coming in had to be sifted, it had to be shared around judges, and it had to be then decided what was right and what wrong. It was quite cumbersome as a process. If we now reflect on it, it worked at the time, it worked very well. Yeah. But I certainly wondered, could it be slicker? Taking on technology helps us make it easier to administer when there's less people in the background administering it. But I think the other thing it does is it actually allows people to collaborate much better around the company. One of my reflections about the Customer Cup was those people involved in the Customer Cup around the business were really engaged, really excited about it. But there could be people a couple of desks away who genuinely didn't know what they were doing.
If you were in it, you were really loving it, but if you were outside of it, you were outside of it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that varied from business areas to business area, but my general reflection was that those in it knew, those who weren't didn't really know what was going on. The beauty of the system now is that anyone can see what ideas are. Anyone can get involved, whether they have their own idea or not, because they can comment on ideas they see, they can back ideas that they really like, and we're seeing that happening, and it's organically just started to happen. It didn't really exist in our company before as a process, but lots of people are starting to see that they can. There's no constraints to that sort of interaction, and I think people are really loving that and really thinking they can add value to other people's ideas, offer support, offer ideas that they've seen outside. All of that's happening, just as you would hope the system would work.
Perfect.
It is working.
Yeah.
And so it's been quite intriguing to watch that grow, and I describe it like a slowly moving snowball, because in a company like ours, when new things happen, it takes a little while for people to get used to it, particularly if it's outside of the norm.
Yeah.
And it is outside of the norm, because I think people in the past, and still I get queries now, is okay, so where's the 11-page document I have to fill in to enter the customer cup? It doesn't exist anymore. Well, how do I do this? You simply go into this system, you log your idea, and it's in. Well, hang on a minute. Well, how will I know if that's good enough or not? Well, you'll get commentary from your colleagues. You'll get a sense.
Social feedback and everything. Yeah.
And people are adjusting their ideas, and you've got the time up until September when we close this stage to keep, developing your idea. And that, for some people, has been a bit of a leap, because they're expecting a more onerous, more difficult entry program to get into the customer cup, and it doesn't exist anymore. So that's been great as well. It's been good to watch that sort of evolve, and people.
So do you think this is there's a byproduct of this that's changing culture within the business as well?
You'd love to think so. Yeah, you'd love to think so. And there's quite a lot of programs. I think there's customer cup going on. But we as a whole company, following some of our changes last year, are really trying to evolve and really trying to change.
Yeah.
And the culture of that, that's one of the things that we are looking to evolve. So yes, I personally hope it is. My observation is it is for those people who are interacting. I just now want more people to get involved so that they'll feel the same thing.
Is there any sense yet that any of the ideas that are in there, because they're more transparent than they previously would have been by coming in by email or whatever, that you're actually getting different types of teams forming around those ideas? Is there any evidence for that yet?
Well, probably. It's probably a little bit anecdotal at the moment, to be absolutely sure, but something I've observed is that people are not necessarily just from their immediate team, their immediate environment. I've observed people putting out word that they're looking for people through the system.
Great.
So then people get involved. I've seen people pitching to get support for their ideas through the system, and that's different because that didn't really exist before. That whole peer group interaction wasn't something that the Customer Cup had before, so that's happening. And I've seen people, as a result of that, therefore the teams are a little bit of a different makeup, because they might not be immediately from one area, and that actually helps, because often the idea might be driven by the experience that somebody's having because they're speaking to customers on a daily basis, but they need somebody in the background, say from underwriting or IT, to help them through the technology or our own business processes to develop the idea. You see people connect like that, so that's what I hope will continue, and teams will be more effective then because they've got the right people.
Here's hoping. I mean, that's part of the premise, definitely.
Yeah.
What's the incentive for people to participate? I mean, obviously this is it's nice and it's social, and hopefully it drives business value.
Yeah.
But why do busy people who've got a lot of stuff to do in their day-to-day lives come and participate in this? Do you think?
Yeah, I tested the water a little bit with previous participants on this, because I and my colleagues have been speculating for a while as to why people got involved in a program like this. And I think it boils down to, I think probably about three categories. First category is they just can see an opportunity which will be better for the customer, and they just want it to change. It's almost like a professional pride thing. They just want to give the best customer service. They want the best thing for the customer, and they just want they want somebody to tell or share that with and to change things. And they may not have the wherewithal just on their own or as a team, but they want to develop it and be given tap, and so they see the Customer Cup as an outlet for that. Some people do it because they think it's great for their own professional profile, and they're right in some ways, because lots of people see these ideas around the business, and they see it as a way of demonstrating their own capabilities, and that's fine. So it's like two different ends of the spectrum at the moment in terms of motivation. And then some people are actually very excited about the idea of going to the grand final, because it is a fantastic experience. All of the people who've been on it in the past have described it as probably the best thing that's ever happened in their working careers.
That's great.
So it's and it's not some sort of jolly that they're on. They are asked to present their ideas to our board, members of our board, executives. So it's the most senior people in our company that they're presenting their ideas to. It causes them personally often a lot of stress, because they're not necessarily used to these sort of presentations. But they put huge. It's one of those things where the more effort that people have put in, the more they get out of it. It's one of those genuine things where you see it happening, because those teams that get that far genuinely put in the most effort, and they get the most reward out of it. They're treated very well when they're at these.
And they believe very passionately.
They believe in the idea. They're passionate about the idea, and they're able to air it with people who they think are definitely the people who can change the way things are done in the company. So they're delighted, or as well as scared, to be presenting it in those forums. And then what comes of it afterwards is that those ideas are supported, and they are pushed through the company wherever it's.
That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, you kind of covered a few things in there. How senior is the involvement in this, and it's all the way to board level, which is great. What is the commitment that you make to people? Because back to that, what's in it for me? Why should I participate? Or if I do, what are you gonna give me? So do you have an allocation of resource that you put towards ideas? If you get 100 great ideas, would you be able to do them all? How does it work?
When I've gone and canvassed people in the past, I think sometimes I've thought that it's almost felt like sometimes it ended at the grand final, and the whole experience has been fantastic. But ultimately, what happens? Some people have felt sometimes that they've been kind of left to continue the crusade, continue to realise what it was that their idea, their project, whatever it was, suggests. But this time round, we're saying no. If they get to the grand final, we need to allocate one of the board members to be their sponsor. We need to open doors often into the relevant departments. Often that will be the IT department, where tech innovation is required, to change the way we do things, and not make them go through the traditional business processes we have to allocate that sort of resource to them to go forward. So that's the principle this time round, that instead of them being left to be lone crusaders, that their ideas are actually picked up and run with. If they get to the grand final, that's opened the door for it to go forward. So that's the way we're looking to do it this time.
Okay, and that's great, and potentially then those people might get to be involved in taking those ideas that step forward as well. Excellent. It's a big undertaking by the business, isn't it? I mean, you've got one capable person running it, but you've got lots of commitment from people around the business to run this event and sharing it. But I think it is those messages you gave us earlier about bringing technology in to manage a leaner process that can actually let you be more global is really interesting. How was the process from landing a new job in December through to getting launched a few months later? You chose a technology partner, and we were very pleased that it was us that you wanted to work with in that. How was that process of getting a new system up and running and getting it ready for you guys as a platform to run with?
Well, incredibly slick, and I think you probably pride yourselves on this, because you have, in my view, a system which can be virtually taken from the shelf, made to fit with the look and feel of the company that you're working with, in this case ourselves, Aviva, and it's virtually ready to go from day one. But during that process, you allocated to me Catherine, who took me through step by step what I should be looking at, what I should be trying to do with the system, how to do it. So that whole integration program was dead easy, really. And I think actually you were challenging us in Aviva to, well, why aren't we ready with our single sign-on technology? And we know that now. Well, I know that. I'm much clearer about what we can and can't do as a company. So it was an easy process. It went very well for me. No problem at all. So it was a good it's a good learning experience as well, about things to look out for. What has been learned from other companies? How do they do it? what do you mean about these different stages? And I see. So there was a lot of information coming my way, which helped me.
It's good to hear.
Better.
It's good to hear.
Make it better.
What's your hopes now for the future for this? Whether you think it? I mean, you've got a process to run through this year, and hopefully some fantastic ideas at the end of it. But from this learning that you've done now, obviously you've got to get business buy-in for things. But where do you see this going as a customer cup, and potentially even more broadly?
I think if I just focus on the customer cup for a minute, I've got a challenge. I think off the system, but using the system to help me is to build some critical mass. Now, I could never envisage everybody in a company getting involved in a process like this. We know all the different types across a company, and the engagement levels that they have, and just because you're running a customer cup doesn't change that. But I want to get more people on the system. We're off to a very good start. From a standing start of none, we've got, it's growing every single day, so the number will be out of date as soon as I say it, but there's about 550 odd registered people. I know there's more coming all the time, which is great. But I've got an ambition to grow that number just so that they're registered and interacting with it, because the more interaction, the more it grows. As I said, it organically just gets better and better, and you get better collaboration. So that's one ambition. We want a high number of ideas in, and that needs to go up, but I'm still waiting for some markets to really get on board and get going. So when they do, it's quite interesting how you see the wave of ideas coming in once people realise they've got an outlet. So that's another ambition to grow the number of ideas we get out of it. And we continue to speak to our IT department about what is the best collaboration tool, because I've got a really nice, easy to use one here. So those discussions are ongoing about why they went to SharePoint and NewsGate, and why am I using something else. So, and they fully understand why I am. I'm having quite regular conversations with them about how it works and what's good about it. So.
Great.
So it'd be interesting. I think the whole company needs to understand that the future is less about process and less about systems that have been put from the top down, and much more about that ground level up and allowing people to collaborate and be treated as grown-ups, because in that way you actually get the best out of them if you give them these opportunities.
Absolutely. So one of the questions we like to ask people, which is a slightly different spin on things, is as an innovation person as well, I hope you appreciate this question, is what's the most innovative thing you've ever done as an individual? I get some great answers to this question, by the way. It's always a good one to throw in.
My mind is completely. Oh, I've thought of something. A few. For a minute, then I was thinking, I've got nothing.
You stitched me up.
Nothing to give you here. I think so. If I describe the problem and then think about why we could, because the problem we have as a whole industry as well as a company is that young people, as a rule, and generalisations always have exceptions, is young people don't necessarily engage their finances that much unless it's the immediate stuff, and they particularly don't engage with long-term investment things like pensions, because it's just too far away, and there's other pressing priorities in their lives. So we totally understand the rationale and reasons why, but unfortunately, where pensions are concerned, the younger you start putting a little bit aside to a pension, the massive differences it can make at the end. So it's one of these things where we totally understand why individuals act and behave in the way they do, but we also understand the consequences for them in the long run, in that they won't have as big a pension pot as they might be hoping for. So that was a problem. We just knew that all of the traditional methods about saying it's bad news for you in the long run, you won't. So what? It doesn't resonate.
Let's do something about it, but
it doesn't resonate with young people. Young people, by the way, means anyone who's sort of working age 18 up to about 35. It's about 35 suddenly a penny drops for a lot of people. They go, ooh, it's actually a bit closer than, you know. I didn't think I was going to live this long, so now, but now I am. Okay. The way around it was actually, so what is engaging? What could we do to have a conversation with people, which is about money, but done in a totally different way? And so, topical at the time was Dynamo is street magic, and fantastic tricks, amazing catches the imagination, and people believe anything's possible. And so Dynamo's too expensive. But I found another guy called Pete Hathaway, who could do all of the same things as a street illusionist, I think they might prefer to be called. And so we got this guy to do tricks with money, where basically it'd be, you know, lots of things with coins, but then changing tens into 20s, and isn't it great when your money grows? And once we gained the attention in that way, and then we weaved into that, did you know that you can get more money simply by putting, just, you know, because the tax pays money straight out to your pension.
Nice.
But it was just a little intro to money, which wasn't
which they could
threatening
associate
at all,
with.
and it was so people could associate with it, and it was taking a totally different spin on how to have a conversation with people, taking that insight about the people themselves, what was topical for them, what worked for them, and it works actually, because people once it had been introduced them into a much fresher way, a much different way, were much more prepared to listen. Up until that point, it was I don't want to listen. This is completely boring. Now it's slightly more relevant, and actually I get the point now. I would consider changing. Or the end message was speak to your employer. Is there a company scheme? And that's getting even more relevant these days.
Absolutely. It's a great customer cup idea right there, surely. There you go. Back in the day, there's a winning idea.
Dust down. We filmed this guy, and that's how we got it into more. You know, it wasn't just doing it on the street. We filmed the guy.
Great.
We used that footage to.
Hey, anyone that can turn £10 notes into £20 notes.
Well, I still don't know how he does it. I was that close. I was looking at his face. Don't know how he. No idea. Unbelievable.
Pure magic.
Yeah, well, maybe it is.
Yeah, exactly.
You could be a very rich man if you could really do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it wouldn't just do street magic if you could really do it. So I think that's pretty much us. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I, obviously with a slight vested interest, hope this year's cup is the best cup that you guys have done. I hope you get some amazing ideas out of it, and hopefully we can come back at the end of the year and talk about the process a little bit more and some of the amazing ideas and teams that have come out the back end of it as well.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah.
And good luck with it.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers.